Hello, everybody. Well, today I'd like to talk on the subject of Sandy Hook and what I believe is a knee-jerk reaction from all the media as I can see. So let's get started. Uh, if we stop 100% of all gun manufacturing, uh, there are now over 200 million weapons produced in the United States. So by any measure, we couldn't see a difference in violence for about 2 centuries. I cannot understand why these do-good legislatures think that flapping their guns on TV and writing a few laws will make a difference. It just won't. That that cat is out of the bag. That cake is baked. Those guns are on the streets. Any further legislation will just prevent those who want to use guns responsibly for impeding them getting them, and the guys who are intent on doing evil will find some way to get there. Man, let's get real here. Let's actually do things that count. Now, the second thing that we hear a lot is that this principal at this school in Sandy Hook was a hero. Well, let's talk about what she was. She was a very dedicated person, a very dedicated teacher to her profession, no question. She was caring. She cared for her students, and she paid for it with her life. But she was also extremely stupid. She had a knee-jerk reaction at the first sign of trouble, ran toward the shooter. That's equivalent to bringing a penknife to a gunfight. Come on, guys, let's get real. Although she was very valiant, very brave, very noble, she had zero impact. She failed in her primary duty to protect or mitigate the violence on her students. So we should not call this gal a hero. So here's my call to action. What can we do? Well, there's some things we can do, and they don't require legislation, and they're very low cost. So what is the first thing? Well, let's train the teachers and staff. Now, apparently they did that at Sandy Hook, but they weren't very effective in their training. So let's have a plan at every school. Let's figure out what we're going to do if a guy comes in there shooting, and let's train and practice. Now, here's some things that we can do that are relatively cheap. First of all, let's lock all the doors. There's lots of evidence that those teachers who locked their doors saved children. So let's, like the airline industry, they figured after 9/11 they could lock the doors, and since 9/11 nobody's gotten in the cockpit. We can do the same thing. The next thing is I would place some barriers. Bullets, drywall don't stop bullets very well, so put some sheet metal in there where the teachers and the students can hide behind. Just tack them up on the wall, put them behind the blackboard, do something. Place some barriers where a guy sitting in the hall cannot let bullets get into the classroom where they can harm people. Steel costs about 20 cents a pound, and a couple of 100 pounds of steel will do a lot of protection. Third, let's arm the teachers. You can give them tasers or baseball bats. My preference would be a .357 Magnum. But if you're a little squeamish, baseball bats are in classrooms. Give the teachers a baseball bat. And somebody sticks his hand through a little hole in the door, whack it off. And then the next thing, or most important thing, is let's put somebody in charge. It doesn't have to be the principal, but somebody who is used to making commands on very little information. Put somebody in charge, and when the commotion starts, number one is you call 911. Number two is you start issuing each orders over your intercom system, and You know, if you think this through, the experts think this through, maybe throw some flashbang grenades or something, or kick off some sirens. There's lots of evidence, at least at Sandy Hook, is that when the cops showed up, this guy shot himself. So, you know, a few flashbang grenades don't hurt anybody. Maybe they'll cause enough confusion to the intruder to take his own life, which he probably wants to do anyway. So what are some other things we can do? Well, you know, there is some speculation that violence in the media is an influencer, and a lot of these politicians flap their gums and do things, but you know, the teachers' unions on their own could start a rating system, and they have enough mass to do that, and they could rate games and violent things and movies, and they could give them from a teacher's perspective a rating. They don't need legislation to do that, and at every venue they can hawk their rating system. You know, that's something that the teachers unions could absolutely do and lead and be an effective force. So I encourage the unions to think about what they can do instead of getting on there and whining about how many guns are on the streets. And of course, there is a mental health component of that. That is very complicated. That and we in our family has had some experience about that. It's very difficult to once a child becomes 18 to confine him to a mental institution, and I'll leave that to others. There are others in this country that are smarter than me, and I think somehow or another there's some balanced, reasonable solution on the mental health action. So guys, that's my thoughts. Until next time, see you later.